Now live.
Cool.
Hey everybody, my name's Kate, and this is my lovely client Samantha, who I'd like to introduce you to. We worked together in my 90-day course, and that's now finished. So this is now a couple of months out, actually, isn't it? And life
At least,
and
yeah.
business and the opportunities for her just seem to be obviously coming out of nowhere, but they're not coming out of nowhere. And they certainly didn't seem like they were going to be in that position, or she didn't feel that a business or a life was going to be in this position when we started. And we started before the pandemic, only just. So
Yeah.
not only has she weathered the storm through that with her coaching business, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, and she can intro herself as well, but the opportunities that have happened, both online and face to face, being nationally recognized, and now an international company grabbing hold of her for certain things,
Mhm.
is life and business is very exciting. But it wasn't always, roses and excitement. Sam was a really busy outdoor majority personal trainer when we met. Hi, Jay. When we met, and she'd tried launching a lot of different things. She's very experienced. She's actually won a award recognizing you as Les Mills Group Instructor Australia.
No, it wasn't Les Mills. It was just a group instructor. And there was a separate category for Les Mills as well. So
Sorry, I know
I
I
was
would get
just
that wrong with Fitness Australia. Sorry, Fitness
definitely not Les
Australia.
Mills.
So what was the award?
It was Group Instructor of the Year.
Group Instructor of the Year. She's also a very qualified strength and conditioning coach and very experienced personal trainer. She doesn't have a lot of time to do any of that stuff in either. She was capped out to the max. She's also a mother of 2 small children and a wife, and has, multiple other hobbies. Not, because who has time for that?
I try.
So, did I get the intro right, Sam? Is there anything?
Yeah,
that you
that's
could tell us?
perfect. Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So, before we started, was there a point where you just thought, what was going on in terms of your journey, and you thought, oh, I need to change this? What was that moment?
I was this was beginning of the year. I think I was kind of hit rock. Well, I say rock bottom, but it probably more within myself in terms of my business of wanting. I sort of essentially lost my mojo. I really was feeling quite burnt out, and I'd hired other trainers to try and build my business, and I was feeling everything I was doing wasn't working. I had a creche as well, so I was sort of felt like I was having to sort of keep that going as well. And I was just feeling quite frustrated. And in terms of not being able to run the business the way I wanted to run it, and just was thinking, I'm putting all this effort in for very little return. What am I doing wrong? Because it felt like I'd tried everything. And I was probably the closest I was to giving up this line of work, which I absolutely love and can't see myself doing anything else. So that was a bit of a low point. And I tried other things in the past, other coaches and stuff, quite a few actually between my husband and I. We tried several different business coaches in the past, and ones that were personal trainers as well. And I just think it just didn't suit me, and it didn't seem like a match for what I wanted to do in my personality as well. And I think I was looking for someone that was a bit more, I guess, personalized and kind of willing to get to know me as well. So yeah, I was really struggling is in a nutshell. That's a long answer, but
No, but actually what you were about to go into was your background, which I forgot to say, because can you tell us about that? You had a life before you were a coach. I mean, you've been a coach for, it's nearly a decade, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was also a teacher as well. I've also got a teaching background too. So, and I love both jobs probably equally, actually. I think it's similar skill set in some ways. Teaching is obviously you have to be able to work with a huge variety of people, which I love doing. I love that. But I've also realized particularly over this last period, I've realized what I really want to do is really quality work with people and get to know people and work with them closer, and I guess kind of spread my wings and have the confidence to do the level of coaching that I feel that I'm able to do, and not feel like I want to people please all the time, which can sometimes happen when you're training big groups of people. So it doesn't always have to, but yeah, I feel like I was doing that. Yeah. So and yeah, I think when you're training big groups of people, you have to watch burnout, because I'm actually quite a sensitive person, which I think is a strength, but but also you can burn out as well. So I wanted to be able to use that strength, more effectively rather than being frustrated and, resentful all the time. That's also.
No, that rhymes with resilient, because that's actually one of the words that I would use to describe you, even though you didn't think that that was at the forefront of your personality when we met. Because also, guys, Sam's an outdoor obstacle race expert, as in she's a competitor herself, not at elite level, but she's getting there, and one of her bigger goals is to push that forward. So that's a great passion of hers as well. So when she says she's sensitive, okay, maybe emotionally, and what woman isn't, but from a body perspective, she's tough.
Thank you.
Literally. No, you won't see me, no offense. I mean, I can train till things burn, and I love throwing up from a good leg session. There's nothing quite like it, but just haven't got into the obstacle racing. I think it's the mud of being a princess. Look at my hair now, I'm such a princess. But I look up to you guys that can withstand that as well. Actually, and like you said, it's about using the strengths in your personality anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so there was obviously lots of last straws if you've come across the point of almost wanting to give up, which is something I feel like I'm almost resurrecting you guys from doing that, which is just perfect, because you've got such a level of experience. Just touch on for me for a second, what did you mean you weren't able to create and offer and charge the things that, is that what you mean? You weren't able to create programs that you thought that you could create?
Yeah, I think I was always thinking, oh, well, if I change this to say I love doing small group coaching, which I finally moved into, and charging more for that. But I thought if I don't do this, if I stop my creche, or I do all these things which are sucking life from my business and money, if I don't do them, I'm going to lose people. They're not going to want to come back to me. I'm going to lose my reputation, my respect, or whatever. It's just silly things like that. And same with, obviously launching more into the Spartan arena as well. Is just, I think I was just, I was obviously scared about it, but also just, I think that people pleasing aspect of me was always holding me back. And I think this, over this last few months that I've worked with you, it's just, I'm able to sort of shed that. It's still there. Like, that's still part of, I can't get rid of it completely, but I'm a lot more aware of it. And I can now say, well, what actually brings me joy? Like, what do I actually want my business to look like? And what am I good at? What are my strengths? And how am I going to what's that going to look like in terms of a business? Because I think it's great to make a lot of money, but if you don't enjoy doing that day to day, then what's the point? Because this job does require a lot of you in every way, physically, emotionally, whatever. So I think if you're not enjoying it, then that's a problem. Yeah.
Definitely. And you can definitely handle more traffic when there's a large majority of it that you enjoy.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And that's important too, especially with people like you that are doing a lot of groups. So you've got a lot of volume going through.
Yeah.
It actually gives you a lot of people to choose from as far as creating VIP options though too, which
definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And then I think in making that shift, I've noticed different people are attracted to the business, which is, I know it's always been that way, but as soon as I made the shift, even from creche, for example, I've always thought I have to have creche, but then what has happened is I've stopped creche, and now I'm getting people that don't need creche. I know that sounds like so simple, but
no, when you're in the midst of it, you're in a relationship. Absolutely. Everybody's in a relationship with their business. It's like a child. You can't, it's a relationship. You can't see what's it called? The wood for the trees.
Yeah. So, and I've had to and I think the other thing is not taking people's things on, which I've always done in the past. That was another big thing, I think, over the last few months, was if someone says they can't come to me because of this reason, okay, that's fine. I accept that, but I'm not going to take that on as it's something, okay, now I need to fix my business. Doesn't mean there's something wrong with my business. It just means that's a decision that they have to make for themselves, but I'm not going to take on. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. And then in the saying no, which can be very fearful creating for some people, because you think you're going to lose your business. Like you just said, it actually creates more opportunity because it creates more space. But it's easy for someone like from an external perspective to see the talent and the potential that's there as well. You mentioned early on that you'd actually tried other courses. I'm not asking you to name other courses,
that's
but
fine.
it is a smart thing, I think, for people to be skeptical when they come in, and you skeptically tried this. I remember talking to you about the level of service that you'll experience. So can you just tell us a little bit about the comparison that you found?
I think I think it's not nothing against those other businesses. I just think I had to find someone that in a lot of ways I think kind of understood what a personalized program is, and obviously I that's how I kind of work as well. So I think I had to find someone like you, Kate, that was able to actually talk to me personally, and then I hate to use the word pivot, but help me, work with me on pivoting if we needed to. Do you know what I mean? Instead of just a generic kind of program. And I think the biggest thing is having someone to meet me where I'm at, and that sort of didn't happen before. It was kind of this is the structure, and this is how you do it, and no matter what kind of thing. But I don't think that always works with everyone. You kind of have to sort of. That's the art of coaching.
It is actually the art of coaching.
Yeah. You can have all that knowledge.
You remember when we started, you said, "Oh no, I don't know if that approach will work for me. I need some structure. Please tell me there is some." I'm like, you need to remember.
Yes,
What's the curriculum, you said? I said, I don't have a curriculum. Well, turns out I do have a little bit.
You do.
But if you don't get to that, I don't care, because it's about pushing on from where you are.
Absolutely. And I think that's, isn't it? That's the art of coaching, isn't it? Having the structure there, but being able to be flexible enough to help work with the client with that structure, So I just think in the past that hasn't happened. It was very cut and dry, and I was sort of getting advice. That the other thing was understanding me as a mum, as a personal trainer too. Like I had a coach in the past who was fantastic, like a great coach, but very experienced, but was not a mum, didn't understand that for me to go and do all that footwork, say in terms of certain type of networking, for me to do that in a week, this is when when Livy was very little, that I couldn't actually physically do that. So I had to find other ways, avenues, do you know what I mean? Things like that. So I think it's finding someone that understands your situation and understands which you have done, and can relate to you on that level. It doesn't have to be exactly the same situation, but do you know what I mean? Like I think that's very powerful, and I think that that relatability and meeting you where you're at is you feel a lot more supported. That's basically it. Yeah,
it's a human need to feel understood, isn't it? But it's definitely something that keeps the coaching quality quite high with everything that you're doing as well. And guys, I do need to add that the majority of Samantha and I's relationship has been during the pandemic. So there was no way she was going to be pamphlet dropping or networking by, I don't know what you would be pushing the pram around for networking anyway. I guess meeting people face to face. So even I've altered the course, we've altered her talents, and as a result, I mean, some of the things that I know about that have happened for Sam is that she's accidentally picked up a couple of clients from overseas, because the internet works like that. And she's created some things that are really fun in terms of interviews that have turned into podcasts, that have turned into other people picking her up, that have turned into programs that actually, do you know what, I'm going to be quiet and let you talk. What are some of the things that you enjoy now that you've created that you maybe never actually even thought possible?
I really enjoyed. I did a mindfulness program, which I was nervous about doing it, and you sort of kicked me up the bum and said, just just do it.
She launched it and ran it herself, guys. So it's not always about do this amount of exercise, eat this, whatever. You guys have got so much within you that can help other people.
Yeah, and I think that was. And I loved being able to do what we did with those online programs. And I essentially ran 3 at the same time, which was a bit crazy. But but I had a mindfulness one, a 10-week strength and conditioning program, and then I also had then I just did a really short one as well, just a habits program. And what the clients really loved was we did weekly coaching calls, a little bit like what we do with you, Kate. And I said to you sort of at the time too, I learned a lot about coaching in that aspect, and the ability, once you do that in a group too, that everyone's kind of bouncing off each other, and the clients really love that too. And they learn a lot from each other. And even one of the clients who's actually in Rockhampton, so quite a ways from us, and a very old friend, I haven't seen her for a long time, but a very old friend of mine, and she said she feels like she's part of Your Monday Fitness, and that meant so much to me, you know. And she's related to one of the other clients who lives here, is also a farmer, you know, just things like that. And I think that sense of community has really, that kind of blew me away in terms of the ability that even Zoom, you know, a Zoom group coaching call could do. It's not for everyone, I think, you know, but because they were quite open to that. But I think it was really cool, you know. And you know, that particular client, now she bought one of the EF jumpers and she's wearing it and took a photo, you know, and just really cool stuff like that. So I think that ability to run programs online and still create community, which is what I love doing and I think is so important. That's some of the stuff I did over COVID, and I just felt actually quite inspired over that period. I don't know why. It's just like,
after the initial shock that everybody had, I have to say, after the initial shock that everybody had, and everybody was scrambling and what's going to happen with our businesses now. But I would to use the word pivot again. You guys pivoted within 24 hours. I was astounded, actually.
Yeah, and I just thought, how can I? What are people looking for? How can I support people during this time? And I kind of almost felt like it was my, I guess, shouldn't the word responsibility, but that's kind of how I felt. How can I use my, you know, strengths for good over this period? So yeah, and that was very exciting. Yeah. So, and it's even weird coming out of it, because now I'm like, oh, well, I have to now put that into a new, you know, a new space. But yeah, it's still, I really love doing that, especially that coaching stuff. That small group coaching was fantastic. And from that now I've launched my own small group coaching, obviously face-to-face because we're in Queensland. So yeah, we're lucky enough to do that. So
that's good at the moment.
Yeah.
And so what about the other opportunities to do with the obstacle races? Sam actually got into, I like the clients to hook into something that's easy for them to replicate, because then, like, you even used, I think you used the word joy, or maybe it was the last person I spoke to.
Yes, I did, yeah.
It's the word of the day. It's then all of a sudden you turn around and you don't know, oh my God, what's happening with my business? Look what's just been created. How did that happen?
Yep.
And that's the most amazing feeling. Yes, tell us about some of the opportunities.
So I started interviewing some of the elite Spartan, the pro women in Australia, and that was so rewarding in terms of, you know, I got a lot out of it myself, and I thought, oh look, I'll just share that on the group Spartan page. I'll just share that, and a lot of people actually, there was a lot of interaction on that, and people seemed to love that, because also they hadn't heard these women's stories either, which was so beautiful. And they said to me, you know, look, and a lot of people don't know about their journeys. And I was like, wow. So that was really cool. And then one of the staff from Spartan has contacted me and said, oh, can we share this, one of the interviews with one of the elites, Tanya, and we need more content. Have you got more content, you know, to share with us? Because we're always looking for more content. And I was like, of course. So that was very exciting that someone from Spartan has seen that, you know, I'm a presence there, and I'm offering some really great support, and obviously trying to do something really great for the community, I think, and for women, which is where I want to head now in terms of launching online training for women doing Spartan or Tough Mudder or whatever it might be. So yeah, so that's very exciting, and I definitely think there's a big need for that, particularly specifically for women. So yeah, and I think I can help them do that.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? It's just the opportunities it creates, and that's fun. It's just fun. It's so fun for you. It's just so your niche.
It was funny because when I was doing it, you know, I thought, oh, no one's really, people like it, but you know, you don't really know when you're doing it what's going to happen, I think, and it's just got to have that confidence to just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has to not matter, but I do need to point out that it's got to be something that's going to move the needle. And even though you
Yeah.
guys can't see how, you don't know how it's going to move the needle, the online game, in terms of anything, whether it's networking or reaching out to people and spamming them, don't do that. We don't do that
Yeah.
in general. But one of my principles, I don't know, I remember talking to you about this in our first call, is we're going to do it organically. And you're like, but I've done network
Mm.
marketing. I don't want to spam my friends. Please tell me we're not going
Yeah.
to message my friends.
Yeah. I
No,
did
we're not
say
going to
that.
message my friends.
Yeah.
Sam, so many
Yeah.
people think this when you
Mm.
say the word, we're going to build your business organically. There are ways to do it that are effective that, well, to
Yeah.
be honest, I know because I've done them. And
Mm.
human relationships work when you focus on them. And they're so
Yeah.
missed in the online world.
Yeah.
Humans are still online.
Yeah.
Humans are the ones that are online, and that's what seems to
Yeah.
be missed. So, can you talk about financial? Has it had a positive financial impact on you guys and your family?
Yeah, it has. I think the biggest thing was obviously getting through the isolation, the COVID was the biggest thing. And at one point, you know, we were solely reliant on my income, you know, which has never happened before because my husband was actually stood down for a period. So that was, you know, that was scary, but we were able to do that, which was pretty cool. But the next level of that, we actually sat down and, you know, I was still feeling I don't know if this is still working. And my husband and I actually, he does all my accounts, thank goodness. And he sat down and we looked at the income compared to last year. And he said, Sam, your profit margin has increased. And that's even from last year to this year, even over COVID. So I was like, oh. so, so that means my business is growing and has still grown even over that COVID period. So, I think the trick and the thing that you always said to me too is not to get in your head about it or emotional, because you've got to look at the facts. And I think as soon as we started doing that, a lot more of that, and you know, ensuring that I was on top of, you know, where my accounts were at, what's the income, and I've made those big changes as well. So dropped a lot of those big costs before, like creation stuff. So then that means I'm getting rewarded directly for all the work that I'm putting in and doing quality coaching instead of doing just group fitness, which I don't want to do anymore. So, well, I do, but I'll, you know, in a different way. So yeah, I think that for me is a big win, that I've still increased my profitability even over COVID. You know what I mean? I think that's a big thing, which unfortunately, a lot of businesses over that period may have lost businesses or lost thousands of dollars, you know, so I'm really lucky that hasn't happened. Yeah. So
We are a very lucky industry, that's for sure.
yeah,
And we have the internet, and when we don't, we're going to have to write
yeah,
people letters. It's just
yeah,
a matter of, when you work for yourself, you have to pivot, for want of a
yeah,
better
yeah,
word,
yeah,
regardless of the channel, and
yeah.
regardless of the environment, because there will be other things that happen that aren't a pandemic.
Mm,
And one of the things I like with you guys is now you have several income streams.
mm,
And the other thing that I want to bring up, because a lot of people have creation, they think, well, I'm going to need to do this, 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 and then I
yeah,
can do that thing that Sam did. Sam did a lot of hard things that took a lot of bravery, that were very
mm,
scary, and they were very big in terms of what she was used to financially, and also just different kinds of products and packages.
mm,
Then those decisions about creation, the new timetable and all that stuff, it was like so simple and easy to do, because she
mm,
came at it from a different place,
yeah,
totally different place.
yeah, yeah.
It wasn't ducks in a row, because the ducks multiply. You can't
No,
have
it
two ducks
doesn't
in
happen
a
that
row.
way. Yeah. To make a decision. To make a decision. Yeah.
Awesome. And so, is there anything else that you want to talk about in terms of, what do you see now for your future?
I just see, I've still got that little voice in my head. I think that's something that I always have to just, you know, keep in check and not let that make the decisions for me. I think that's the biggest thing. And continue coming from a place that we're focusing on what I really enjoy and do that, because I think when I do that, or for anyone, I think that's when that can expand. You know what I mean? Whereas if I'm focusing on trying to please all these people, that's when I get myself into this, you know, place of productivity or profitability, because I think the money can come from when you're doing something passionate. Yeah, and that's the you know, exciting thing. And the funny thing is, I wanted to go online for so long, the more that, the funny thing is, even if I say a client has moved on in the group fitness, it's funny, I just get more online clients. It's the weirdest thing how it's working, you know what I mean? It's just the energy's just shifting. So, and I'm totally cool with that. So so I think that's not to be scared about. It's going to evolve and it's going to change, but as long as I focus on being in that place of, it's still hard work, but being in that place of passion and joy, what is it that I want to do, and do that, you know what I mean? And that, because then I'm going to do it well as well, you know. So yeah, I think
so much goodness there. I'm so excited for you for the next couple of months and years even, because you see the trajectory.
Yeah, definitely. And as my children get older too, I've still got a little boy, so as he gets older, you know, it's going to become easier too, you know. But I'm not going to let that stop me. It's just going to be just a little bit slower, but yeah, that's fine. That's how I want it to be.
I wouldn't really. Yeah, she's gone Spartan slow, not slow at all. Like, no, you've gone my 100 kilometers an hour. Everyone does definitely move at a different pace, and to be honest, that's one of the things that, like, this is what I mean, every decision is the right decision, but it's one of the things that you got right because you focused on the bit that you enjoyed, and then trusted, and it does work out, because when you don't have much time, you've got to just focus on the things that will literally move the needle in your business.
Yeah, that's right.
Any final words that you'd like to say?
No. I think we covered everything.
That's all right. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Kate, and I appreciate, you know, all that, you know, that more individual care, and that's really what it has come down to, I think, and meeting me where I'm at, and sort of taking the time to get to know me. I think that's the other thing as well, which means a lot, I think. When you've got a coach, means, yeah, probably the most valuable thing, I think. Yeah, so thank you.
My pleasure. You guys become family. You won't get rid of me. No, it's been a pleasure. I'll put all our contact details near this video everywhere. So if you guys want to go watch Sam's interview series that she does, which is phenomenal, which, you know, get in now before she gets famous and she doesn't have time to talk to you. That's what I felt like. So take a number. Looking forward to hearing more about your successes, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Kate.
Thanks.